Today, we become legends.
Are you a Smite 1 player that either didn't participate in the Smite 2 alpha or tried it early on and haven't played in a while? Well, this video is for you. I'll be covering everything that's new and different in Smite 2 compared to Smite 1 for those making the switch for open beta, so let's jump in. So first up, and one of the most immediate things you'll notice is strength and intelligence replacing physical and magical power from Smite 1. In the sequel, any god can build any item, and some gods scale only with intelligence, some only with strength, and some will be hybrid where they make use of both. All gods will still deal the same damage type as they did in Smite 1 regardless of their scaling. Strength does not mean physical and intelligence does not mean magical, though they do often align. These are just two different stats that can scale your damage in different ways. Strength is generally better for raising auto attack damage, while intelligence is generally better for raising ability damage and utility effects, but be sure to look at your favorite god's scalings before playing them in Smite 2 to get an idea of what kind of stats you should be building. Another huge new system for Smite 2 is active items. These are items that can be actively pressed using a certain keybind, which will appear on the item itself and also to the right of your consumable slots on the HUD. The specific keys or buttons used can be rebound in the settings if you don't like the defaults. Active items can have a variety of effects, all the way from simple temporary stat boosts to items that turn you into a boar and make you dash forward. There's a hard limit of 3 active items in any one build, but most of the time you won't be hitting that limit outside of the support role, which buys by far the most active items. These will take a while to get used to, even for myself as someone who plays this game for a living. It took me a good month or two to get properly used to using my active items when I buy them, but once you get a handle on them, they can be incredibly powerful and bring new gameplay possibilities, so don't neglect them. If you're interested in exactly what every single active item does, I recently made a video covering them, which I'll link down below. Next up, and related to builds, we have a simple one, and that is your starter item in Smite 2 now has its own dedicated slot, and you can build 6 regular items in addition to your starter, unlike Smite 1 where your starter item took up a normal build slot. The Relic System has also had a significant overhaul in Smite 2. There are far less relic options available, with only 5 in the game at the moment, and you can only choose 1, not 2 like Smite 1. There is also no relic upgrade system in Smite 2 yet, but there might be in the future. This new system means you have to be more careful with both your choice of relic and when you choose to use it. The options available are Purification Beads, Aegis Amulet, and Phantom Shell, which are all pretty much identical to Smite 1, in addition to Sunder, which deals burst true damage to gods and more to objectives, working as a great objective secure tool and invade tool, and Combat Blink, which is the same as Smite 1 Blink, except it can be used in combat. It is still affected by cripples though, and you can also blink during the animation of many but not all abilities, such as while channeling a Ymir ultimate. There are also a variety of differences in Conquest between Smite 1 and Smite 2. The layout is of course slightly different, and there are now additional side jungles on each of the outer lanes which house gold and XP camps, as well as the teleporters that work very similar to Smite 1's versions. The jungle buffs are also quite different in what they provide and how they work in Smite 2. Firstly, you can now level up your jungle camps via the infamy system, which essentially works like an XP bar for your jungle camps. Every time you take a camp, it gains infamy, and it will slowly level up over the course of the game from level 1 to 4, increasing the benefits of the buffs they provide each level. This is individual for each camp, so you could for example have a blue buff at infamy level 2, but your back happy camps might be at infamy level 4. You gain infamy from taking any camp of that type, so you can level up your own buffs by invading the corresponding buff on the enemy side. This will also deny them the infamy progress, making invades very powerful, especially because the invader's curse from Smite 1 no longer exists in the sequel. The buff effects are also a bit different. Blue buff is mostly the same, providing mana regen and cooldown reduction. Red buff provides a % max health damage over time effect on abilities and basic attacks. Purple buff provides strength, intelligence, and attack speed, and speed buff provides movement speed and flat penetration. Objectives have also been updated for Smite 2, with the Gold Fury no longer having the Oni and Primal variants, but each kill provides a unique effect. Your first Gold Fury gives double out of Fountain movement speed, the second gives an aura buff to minions, and the third gives bonus structure damage and protections when near a structure. These buffs affect your entire team. The Fire Giant now drops the Obsidian Dagger on death, which is a consumable that can be used to deal 500 true damage to yourself and gain a powerful buff. If that true damage would kill you though, it instead revives you to full health over a few seconds. If you're killed with the Obsidian Dagger in your inventory, it will drop on the ground so someone else can pick it up and try to use it. Pyromancer exists in Smite Smite 2 as well and is unchanged from Smite 1, but a completely new roaming objective has been added called the Queen Naga. She roams the middle section of the jungle and when killed drops a consumable that can be used to summon 2 Naga soldiers that attack nearby enemies and can be used to tank towers and objectives. There are also some new camps with the Cyclops camp that drops a ward on death and the Scorpion camp that drops Eyes of the Jungle, which pings all enemies on the minimap once when used. That's about it for the major conquest changes though, let's move on. Another quick and simple one next is that HP 5 and MP 5 from Smite 1 are now health per second and mana per second and are just labelled health and mana regen. This doesn't change much aside from the numbers on these items being 5 times smaller than before, so don't be alarmed if you see something with 5 mana regen on an item. That's equivalent to 25 MP 5 from Smite 1. All stats are also now uncapped in Smite 2, whereas Smite 1 has hard caps on many stats like attack speed at 2.5, protections at 325, and penetration at 50 flat and 40%. There are no longer caps on any of these stats in Smite 1, so if you really want to hard focus a certain stat, you can do that without worrying about capping out. On a related note, cooldown rate is replacing percentage cooldown reduction in Smite 2 and is also uncapped. The way cooldown rate reduces your cooldowns is quite a bit different, and it follows this formula for those interested in the details. Essentially, buying cooldown rate now linearly increases your ability cast frequency, meaning you can get the same value no matter how much CDR you already have. Whereas in Smite 1, it exponentially increased your ability cast frequency, meaning the more you had, the more it was effective. This is why it needed a cap in Smite 1, but it doesn't need one in Smite 2. And yes, this means you can go above 40% cooldown reduction if you hard focus it in your build. I won't get too much into the nitty gritty on this system as I have a full video explaining cooldown rate that I'll link down below alongside a variety of other dedicated videos diving into the topics discussed here in more detail if you're interested. Moving on though, let's talk about +1s and aspects. In Smite 2, every god that is ported over from Smite 1 gets some kind of change to their kit called +1 changes. I won't cover every single one here, but there's a video linked down below that covers them all if you're interested. These changes vary in impact, with some gods only getting a small additional effect to 1 or 2 of their abilities, and some gods getting full-on ability reworks and everything in between. Be sure to check out your favourite god in-game first to see what changes they got coming into the sequel. Aspects are also coming in Smite 2, which are going to be optional versions of the god's kit that can change their playstyle substantially. You can turn a certain god's aspect on by visiting their god page or in the pre-match lobby. These are completely optional and come with a trade-off, so you will gain some kind of benefit at the cost of something elsewhere, meaning you won't necessarily always want to use the aspect. It depends on what playstyle you're going for and what role you're trying to fill on the team. For example, Ra's aspect removes the intelligence scaling from his 3 and ultimate completely, significantly nerfing his damage, but it allows you to attach his 3 to allied gods so that the heal will follow them around, and allows you to adjust the aim of his ultimate during the fire, and hitting allied gods with his ultimate will heal them. This aspect is intended to shift Ra into a more supportive or tanky playstyle, giving him utility and healing at the cost of damage scaling. All aspects will work in this way, and some will be more drastic changes than others. Much like +1s, I won't cover every single aspect here for the sake of time, but there's a video linked down below that covers all the aspects currently available in the OB1 patch. There's 20 available right now, but the plan is for every god to have at least 1 aspect, with some gods having multiple if there's space to make multiple for them. On the topic of gods, there's currently 3 brand new gods in Smite 2, with Hecate, Mordred, and Aladdin joining the fray. Hecate is a mage with pure intelligence scaling who deals high burst damage and has some great utility, especially with her aspect on. Mordred is an assassin warrior hybrid with high mobility and a twisted take on King Arthur's energy mechanic. Mordred is a hybrid scaling god who uses both strength and intelligence. And finally, Aladdin is a magical damage assassin with very high mobility and damage output, with a unique ultimate that creates a separate fighting arena when used. More details on these new gods can be found in the dedicated videos down below. The mastery system has also changed for Smite 2. Each god now has their own Ascension pass, which is like a mini battle pass with 10 levels up to mastery 10, just like Smite 1. Each level grants rewards such as trackers that can display things like kills, assists, and god-specific stuff like the amount of healing dealt with Hades 3 or time stealth as Loki. You can put these onto your loading card to display your stats. You can also get loading card frames for reaching mastery 10, the classic wave and clap emotes, and 4 mastery recolor skins with Shadow, Opal, Onyx, and Radiant. Some of these rewards are free, but most of the really juicy stuff is on the paid track, which costs 900 diamonds, the new premium currency for Smite 2, or 450 diamonds and 450 legacy gems if you have those to purchase. You will, however, get 450 free diamonds back throughout the pass if you complete it fully, so they only cost 450 in practice if you complete them. Which, if you have legacy gems, means you can effectively buy these for legacy gems only so long as you complete them to mastery 10. If you don't buy the pass, you can still get 225 free diamonds throughout it as you level up your mastery, meaning you can effectively buy 1 premium pass for every 2 free ones you complete. This system may be expanded or changed in the future, but that's the current way God Mastery works in Smite 2. But how do you unlock said gods? Well, there's currently no earned currency system in Smite 2 equivalent to Smite 1's favor, though I believe that is planned for the future. At the moment, you earn 1 free god unlock token whenever you increase your account level, up to 50. With the launch of open beta, there's 50 gods in the game, so you can eventually unlock all gods for free. They can also be purchased with diamonds or legacy gems if you want them immediately, and if you already own the ultimate god pack by purchasing any Founders Edition for Smite 2, you will get 100 free diamonds instead of god unlock tokens for 5,000 diamonds total at level 50. Ranked has also undergone a significant overhaul in Smite 2. The new system does away with the separate MMR and TP system of Smite 1 and combines them into one skill metric, SR, which displays both your skill and your rank. Think of it like your matchmaking rank from Smite 1, but in Smite 2 that's just your actual rank. There is no TP system. There are also new ranks added with Amber below Bronze and Obsidian, Demigod and Deity above Master. Deity is the equivalent of Grandmasters where the top 50 Demigod players reside. Ranked rewards have also been reworked so that your ranked frame is now granted after the first split you played in that season with 4 splits per season, and your ranked border will display your highest rank in that season rather than being granted at the end. There are various other ranked rewards like titles for being one of the first players to Demigod in a given season, among others. But that's everything you need to know that's different for Smite 2 compared to Smite 1 if you're making the switch in open beta. If you have any more questions that I didn't answer here, then be sure to leave them down below, or check out the dedicated videos in the description that go into more detail on these topics. Catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.